In K-pop, there's a system everyone is expected to follow. You train, you debut, and then you perform what the company envisions for you. Image, sound, concept, it's all decided by the structure above. But somewhere inside that machine, Stray Kids quietly decided they weren't going to play by the same rules. From the beginning, they were different. They didn't want to just be performers, they wanted to be creators. When JYP announced that Stray Kids would be a self-producing group, it sounded like a marketing point at first. But what unfolded after debut proved it was far more than that. They wrote their own songs, directed their own creative process, and built an identity rooted in honesty. Their message wasn't about perfection or fitting into expectations. It was about individuality, freedom, and the courage to stay authentic even when the system tried to shape them into something else. This wasn't an easy path. The K-pop industry is built around control, strict management, fixed sound direction, and the constant push to maintain a polished image. For Stray Kids, every decision to do things their own way came with risk. Writing their own lyrics meant responsibility. Producing their own music meant accountability. And choosing to speak openly about imperfection meant breaking unspoken industry rules. But those risks became the foundation of their power. From early songs like District 9 to later anthems like God's Menu and S-Class, Stray Kids built a world that reflected who they really were. They didn't just sing about rebellion, they lived it. Every comeback felt like a statement against the system, not to destroy it, but to show it could be done differently. While other groups followed the company formula, Stray Kids built their own identity brick by brick. Their producer trio, Three Racha, became the core of this change. Bang Chan, Changbin, and Han worked endlessly in the studio, turning emotions and chaos into sound. They weren't waiting for someone else to define their music. They were defining it themselves. That creative control reshaped how the industry viewed idol groups. It proved that authenticity could be just as marketable as perfection, and that success could come from breaking rules, not following them. Over time, their confidence in this freedom grew. They weren't just releasing songs anymore, they were building an entire philosophy. Stray Kids everywhere all around the world wasn't just a catchphrase. It was a declaration of independence, a reminder that their story belonged to them. And fans, the Stay community, understood that completely. They connected with the group not as distant idols, but as people carving their own path through a system that rarely allows it. As Stray Kids grew, so did the weight of their choices. It's one thing to claim creative freedom, but it's another to maintain it when your fame begins to rise. Many groups start bold and independent, then slowly get absorbed into the system as the pressure of global success takes over. But Stray Kids never fully gave in. Instead, they learned how to play within the system without losing themselves. That balance became their greatest strength. JYP Entertainment is one of the largest K-pop companies, known for structure and tradition. Yet Stray Kids carved out a level of autonomy rarely seen in such an environment. They built trust by proving they could deliver results. Every hit single, every sold-out tour, and every creative risk that paid off earned them more space to move freely. It wasn't rebellion for rebellion's sake. It was discipline disguised as chaos. Behind the scenes, their process looked nothing like the traditional idol workflow. Instead of waiting for approval, Three Racha produced demos that already sounded finished. They brought complete creative visions to the table, not just ideas. This flipped the hierarchy. It made them partners, not just artists under direction. And when fans saw the results, songs that felt raw, honest, and deeply human, they reinforced that freedom by rewarding it with loyalty and love. Their fans, the Stays, became an essential part of this revolution. They understood that supporting Stray Kids wasn't just about streaming numbers or trophies. It was about protecting the group's creative independence. Every time the members spoke openly about working late nights, writing until sunrise, or struggling through the weight of expectations, the fandom responded with empathy, not pressure. That connection built a cycle of mutual trust. Stray Kids gave their truth, and Stays gave their patience. This dynamic started to influence how other K-pop acts approached their careers too. Self-producing became a badge of pride, something to aspire to rather than avoid. More idols began showing their songwriting credits, sharing behind-the-scenes work, and speaking honestly about exhaustion and ambition. The system didn't collapse, but it evolved because one group proved it could. The irony is that Stray Kids didn't fight the system by rejecting it outright. They fought it by mastering it. They learned how to use the tools of a major label, promotion, distribution, reach, while keeping their message unfiltered. Their success showed that individuality and commercial success don't have to be opposites. You can be both chaotic and professional, both self made and supported. That duality became their identity. And in that space between control and freedom, Stray Kids thrived. They weren't rebels running from the system, they were builders creating a new one. As Stray Kids' influence spread, the industry began to shift. The old model, where companies dictated every creative decision, started to look outdated. Fans were no longer just buying music, they were buying stories, identities, and authenticity. Stray Kids embodied that new era. They didn't wait for permission to evolve, and that freedom inspired others to do the same. You can see their fingerprints everywhere. Newer groups now talk openly about wanting to write their own lyrics, design their own choreography, and take part in production meetings. Labels are slowly adjusting, realizing that fans connect more deeply when artists are part of the storytelling. It's not just about polished perfection anymore, it's about real emotion. And that idea, that honesty sells, is something Stray Kids helped prove. Their global success only reinforced this message. When they topped charts in countries far beyond Korea, it wasn't because they adapted to Western trends. They didn't change their sound to fit anyone's expectations. They simply refined what was already theirs. Their music, filled with grit, hope, and noise, carried the raw fingerprints of the members themselves, and audiences could tell. It felt alive, not manufactured. This independence also changed what it meant to be a fan. Stays weren't just supporters, they were witnesses to a living creative process. Every lyric, every live stream, every behind the scenes clip felt like an invitation to be part of something larger, a movement built on authenticity. When Stray Kids celebrated, their fans celebrated too. When they struggled, their fans didn't turn away. That emotional transparency made the connection feel more like friendship than fandom. Of course, staying independent comes with pressure. The higher they climb, the more people expect from them. There's always a risk of burnout, of the weight becoming too heavy to carry. But what keeps Stray Kids grounded is the same principle that started it all. They do it together. Their leadership isn't top-down, it's shared. Each member brings something unique to the table, and that collective voice keeps their vision strong. Looking back, their journey reads like a blueprint for the future of K-pop. They didn't destroy the system. They reprogrammed it. They showed that you can be an idol and an artist, that you can belong to a company without losing your voice, that you can stay true to yourself even as the world demands more. Stray Kids built more than a career, they built a legacy of self-expression. Their story is proof that authenticity can survive inside the machine, that creativity can bloom even under pressure, and that sometimes the most powerful way to fight the system is simply to rewrite its rules. And that's exactly what they did. Together, 8 voices turning defiance into music and chaos into control.